Hello everyone, this is Mario, and I'm going to be doing some videos about Mech. Now, in these videos, or the reason why we're starting off with this, is because, or with this section, is Mech is all about positional play. You are more likely than not to lose the game in an engagement, by not watching your army and not being in proper position. Even if you're miles ahead, you don't want to play a 40-minute game and then die because you're out of position. It happens to the best of us. It's happened to me at least 2 or 3 times a day, and it sucks. But, there are certain ways to prevent it, and we're going to go over some of those ways. So this is our little army. We have a lot of siege tanks. We have some ghosts. We have some hellbats. Kind of the army composition isn't as important. What we're going to be focusing on is how we move and how we push across the map, and in what kind of fashion we're doing it. What do you reinforce with in someone? So really, this video is about the push out, the move. How do we handle the move? Now, what we always want to do is we want the hellbats in the front, the ghosts in the middle, and the siege tanks in the back. We want the maximum amount of units between the siege tanks and the army. We don't want to lose the ghosts, but we do want to lose them over the siege tank. So that's fine. Now, we're going to attack in this direction. Why are we attacking in this direction? You will see that when we clump up our army, there's a lot of siege tanks up at the top. We're kind of moving them into formation right now. So what you do is when you move your army, you can see what kind of a ball they really form. You can manually change it, but this is something I do out of habit. And I can see, a lot of tanks are in the front, down below. So if we move up here, these siege tanks will be out, and these siege tanks will be out, and there will be a lot of problems pushing up because there will be siege tanks in the front. So we split these up a little bit, and then we push in this section, so most of the hellbats are in the front. As you can see, it's funneling. A little bit lower. See? We go a little bit lower, and they fall down and they kind of push out through the front. Now, you always want to scan in advance. This is very important. You want to know where his army positioning is, because the moment he moves into you, you are sieging, and you're sieging everything. Now you can see us push out a little bit. We keep the scans going so we can see him, and then, look, he's pushing in, and we siege. And we move in front of the siege tanks. Now, he backed off. We're fine. What we're going to do is put our army where we want the siege tanks to go. We unsieged every tank but these 3. These 3 will be able to keep firing while we reposition the other tanks. A lot of our tanks aren't sieged, and that's true, but we still do have some fire in case he moves in, and we'll just re-siege right away and try to push in front of these tanks. But we moved up here because we're going to be moving these tanks up here. So we want to be in front of these tanks. Now you can see he's kind of pushing with High Templar. If he pokes with High Templar or Colossi, that's fine. Just use, just keep a scan on his army. Unless he's moving everything in, your siege tank should be able to handle it. Do not take that with Immortals. Now we've pushed in a little better position. So we're actually we just moved from here to here. It's not that much. But we want to make sure that we're safe. We want to spend as little time unsieged as possible, and most time, making sure we're in a great position. So now, we're going to leave 4 tank siege. So we split up our hellbats a little bit to cover everything, because now our siege tanks have a great arc. And we're pushing up here. We're moving a little bit forward, because we know he's not moving up, and we scan, we just make sure the position is right, he didn't change. Okay, why this arc? Why do we move from here to here, and then from here to here? Well, because, you see, over here, there's nothing for us to shell. Up here, there is this expansion. And since his arc is formed in this direction, we can leave 1 or 2 siege tanks up here, covered by other siege tank fire, so that if they attack the siege tank, they'll get shot by the other siege tanks to kill this nexus. Now the goal isn't how fast can we kill the Nexus, it's can we at least get 1 siege tank to fire upon it so it will eventually die if he doesn't move into us. And why do we want that? Well, we're not in a rush to start the fight. What we want to do is actually just make sure we win the fight on a giant basis. We want to make sure we just flat out win the fight. So, in position. Always keep a scan on his army if you can, maybe something up front. Vikings are using a scouting position so to give the siege tanks farther range. Siege tanks can actually shoot farther than they have vision for, so you need something to give them a little bit more of a buffer of an edge to get the full range of the siege tank. Many times that will give you an extra shot. Again, you can see I'm being very careful. I want to know exactly what is here. So I'm scanning down here to make sure, okay, and then I'm scanning here. How is my arc doing? I haven't moved, but there's pressure on this player's base. Now you can see from his angle that, let's take a look here. Well, we're going to wait just 1 second because we need to reposition this tank to fire on the Nexus. Let's go a little bit faster. Now back at home, you can see, we're upgrading and everything, that's fine. But one of the things I want to cover is, how do you reinforce this? We're pushing slowly, but he's sniping some of my units. How do I reinforce? Your Hellbats are always going to be in the front. Which means that if you have transformation servos, you can rally Hellions over here and then keep transforming them. And you can you don't have to worry about your base push being slowed down too much, because Hellions get over here pretty fast. They're pretty cheap. They're just minerals. And as long as your siege tanks aren't dying, you can just replace with Hellions. This is one of the reasons why I have so many factories. About 18 factories, 15 maybe. That you don't have to worry about that. That depends on the games and how many factories you go up to. But in this scenario, I have a lot, and even if I didn't, I'd still replace or reinforce with Hellions until my siege tank started having problems. Alright, so he's trying to poke in here a little bit, see what's going on. Nothing done. You can see the Hellions reinforcing, they have the transformation upgrade. And we're being very patient. Why are we being this patient? Well, there's no need at all to push in. You see, we know he's most likely maxed just by the size of his army. Even though he is starting to make Stargate units over here, Void Rays, that's not that big of an issue. Why isn't it an issue? Well, we're mining a whole hell of a lot in every other base. This makes it so that we have a lot of resources to remax. We can plant structures and just kind of sit back and slowly push, and the more we weaken him, the more inclined he's to make a mistake. Our goal is to force him to make a mistake or get choked to death. Force him to attack, really. Now he tries to push up a little bit here, and you can see he gets fired at. He takes a lot of damage. So he can't really do that. We immediately move the Vikings, just a little bit forward. We scan him, make sure he's not moving up, and we're like, okay, you're not moving up. We no longer need to really protect this flank. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make it so we leapfrog a little bit with these siege tanks. We just move a little bit up. So we went from here to here. The next step is to move these siege tanks. Now that we've forced him out of position, he was getting really uncomfortable. If you have nukes, awesome. I have a nuke. I can do damage. This is fucking scary. This is pretty damn scary. We siege up over here. Scan. Why do we scan? Well, we don't have much covering vision of the Nexus. We want vision. We want to make sure, there's nothing over here that can quickly attack into us, force us to reposition, and we double check where his army is. Why is this okay? Well, we have a lot of scans. We don't quite need the minerals. You see, the better we trade, the less minerals we need, because the less of an army we'll need to replace. If you take a look, he's lost 16,000 to my 12,000. That's a lot of minerals, I can mule or scam that many minerals away, and minerals are really easy to come by. It's the gas that's usually an issue. So you can see he's coming up here to position, so what we're doing is moving our Hellbats up, and we're unsieging a few tanks that cannot cover the main tanks. These 3 tanks are kind of out of position. So what we're going to do is put our buffer kind of up front, move these siege tanks around the back a little bit, send some Hellbats over here to attack, put a little bit more pressure and move these siege tanks up. And then, so all we did was move them from here to here, and suddenly our positioning is a lot better. You don't actually have to move this slow, but, we're being really safe. We're being really, really, really careful. Remember, behind this, he's making a mass air transition. But we are still not afraid. And I will explain to you why in a little bit. Moving a little bit up with the siege tanks. This gives us more ground to cover. Now he's doing it smart. He's sacrificing a few units so that he can get more supply to make more Void Rays. And we're still just reinforcing with Hellions. Slowly pushing. Now, when we're in this situation, we're going, well, okay, we're in a really good spot. We can keep 2 of his expansions from mining. The only way we can really lose if he stomps his army now. So what are we going to do? In a minute, we're going to take some workers, and we're going to send them over and build missile turrets. Missile turrets will help block attack paths, mess with walking. We're also keep drawing him further back, making sure we can advance even farther by using Hellions to, pressure some of his minerals. They don't have to do damage, you just have to force his army out of position. We're killing off this base, we've killed this base, we're in a huge lead. Income-wise, we've got it. And he's lost a lot of workers, so he's able to make a lot of Void Rays. Now, are we really... we can see his army's completely out of position. Are we really moving up? No, we're not. We still feel really, really, really safe. We know that this looks kind of like a maxed army. He's lost a lot of workers, which makes him have the ability to make a lot of Void Rays. But we're not really that scared. Void Rays can do a lot of damage, but with the amount of production that we have, with the bank that we have, we place down a lot of production facilities, and we still have a lot of production. The moment we scout this, all we have to do is lose some of our army, and we can immediately make more units. Now we're going to go ahead and pressure this base up here while we stay in position. Send over a few ghosts and a few hellbats. Again, very, very, very patient. So let's go a little bit faster. We're going to go up here, we're going to throw down some nukes. 3 nukes, it takes 4 nukes consecutively to kill a Nexus. Get some more damage, and we just snipe the Nexus. And we know we're in a really great spot. No worries, bring the ghost back. Still, he's making a lot of Void Rays. Now we're coming up, and he's going to try to catch us off guard with these Void Rays. Currently, I have no idea that these are here. And we're going to go ahead and make all of these missile turrets in this location, just to be safe. So from our point of view, we still do not see these Void Rays. We see one now. We scan, and we're like, okay, it's a Void Ray transition. So what are we going to do with this? Well, if you take a look at my army and my production, I'll show you exactly how I would respond. Now, one of the reasons why we can just sit outside of his base is because, look where we are. It's a short walk, and we're into his base. If he doesn't engage this army, okay, so if he engages this army, we have time to remax on whatever's going to kill us. For example, this many Void Rays dies really fast to Thors, to Widow Mines, to Hunter Seeker Missile. EMPs are kind of good against them. So, worst case scenario, he kills this base, and we still have this one. So, whatever. But we're still right outside of his base. We know he's not mining any base race expansion, or base race. I'm going to have a lot more minerals than him, and I can actually reinforce. So what we're doing is, my first thought was like, I want to go back. But you know what? No, I am right here. I am right at his base. And any area that can really kill me, we can see this has a lot of supply. Army value-wise, he actually has a higher army than me. But this is a huge amount of supply. So our army will be able to just walk over his. So we're not worried about slow pushing anymore. Now we're at the stage where we said, you know what, if we can walk over, we can walk over. No problem, we still want to kind of play safe. So what we're going to do is we're going to push in. He's going to come, we scan, and the moment he comes close, we siege, get in front. Simple as that. EMP. And we just walk over his army. Send the Hellbats and everything to go ahead and take care of him. We leave just a few tanks sieged in case the Colossi come back, and we go attack. Now if you look at the production tab, we're making 20 Widow Mines at a time. We're not very worried about these Void Rays. We're even still producing command centers. See? We're just preparing. We're even making a command center here. So because we brought these SUVs in, if this does turn into a base race and we kill all of his production facilities, he cannot reinforce. So what's one of the great things is that our engineering base is still up. We have a lot of resources. Let's just throw down a command center and a bunch of missile turrets. And if we kill all of his Nexus and he has no money for another one, it doesn't matter how many Void Rays he has. If we just make enough turrets and he dies, we could literally make the whole map covered in turret, and he would never win the game, and we'd be able to mine even more money. So we just push in. Again, keep a few siege tanks here. Few bad rallies, that doesn't matter. So in this situation, there is really no reason, or there's really no need to be afraid. We're not rushing to get the Widow Mines under here. We're just stockpiling them. We know he doesn't have a detector because he flew in from the bottom. He hasn't had one for a while. but that's irrelevant. So right now what we're doing is we're positioning our reinforcements close to the battle, or close to the army, but not in the way where we're putting them in danger of losing them. We don't want to lose them. That's the number one thing. We want to make sure that we can overwhelm this army just as easily as we overwhelmed this one. He divided himself up into two pieces, and we took out one portion, and now our job is to take out the other. So, again, attack over here. The rest isn't kind of important, because we focused everything on the positional value, but I am going to let you see what happens to these fortresses. So he kind of sends one up. What's going on here? From his vision, he saw a lot of little red dots. Like if we go back just a few seconds, you can see all those widow mines. So he goes, alright, well, I'm gonna move out. And, you know, the moment he's running away, we try to get under him. We have a lot of void rays. We only try to burrow the first few, and then we run out. There's nothing left in here to protect, so we're okay running over here to defend this base. Now we just try to get under him. Interesting fact, look how fast void rays are. They are 2.25, and widow mines were 2.18. Widow mines are actually faster, so if he's not flying over a cliff, he's losing his army. So we're going to chase him down. Again, we burrow the front ones only, and keep moving. And eventually he loses all of his fortress. So, yeah. And that's game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this about positioning. I hope you learned. For more videos, be sure to tune in. I'll try to get a lot more going, and we're going to go into huge detail on how to play mech. The next one should be a little bit more about build order, and then we're going to go into, okay, it's this stage of the game, what should we be looking for and why? And then we're going to break the game into different sections, and we're going to try to give you different things to look for, so you know kind of, you know, how to respond to almost everything. So we're going to increase your game knowledge, and we're going to do it piece by piece, so your execution has a chance to follow with it. This allows you to practice the videos, what I'm showing you. Just practice the area. You could even do some of these in like the build order tester, or you can just make a random map against a friend and just practice the build over and over again, and you don't have to worry about learning everything else until you know the build and until you've memorized the positioning. You can practice slow pushing each other. But here you guys go. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy.